Hey everybody, we're not playing the normal intro video with this episode because we've got a lot of stuff to cover. First of all, we'd like to apologize for the fact that we have not. No, we've done stuff, but we've been taking pictures and filming stuff for our Patreon. I hope y'all were able to watch our episode or our little impromptu live that we did over at the Confederate Museum at Market Hall. That was a whole lot of fun.
Can I say something real quick on that?
Yeah.
It will be coming to YouTube shortly. We filmed it first for Facebook. Tonight, I'm going to make sure that it stays on Facebook as well as gets on YouTube.
Yeah, and it may not be an exact tonight thing. It'll be after reunion. But again, we do want to thank the staff over there for staying a little bit late for us. We do appreciate that, and we do appreciate showing us some of their things that they have on display there. That was a lot of fun.
It was a great time. Honestly.
Yeah, it really, really was. We're having some difficulty, evidently, with the in microphone in my phone. We did not bring the clip-on mics. So if you have trouble hearing it, we apologize, but we will have their director coming on to talk about it. As a reminder for those members of the SCV that are still at Charleston or coming to Charleston, they will be open until 4 o'clock tomorrow, and they are going to open as well till 4 o'clock on Sunday. It's free for reunion participants to go through, and they have, I believe, over 1,300 artifacts for you to be able to view, including Robert E. Lee's hair, Jeff Davis's hair, a program from Verena Howell Davis's funeral, as well as one for sure Fort Sumter flag, and possibly, they believe, another one, and about 13 other flags. So if you're a vexillologist, it's worth the look at.
And I wanted to point out they were extremely nice, and I mean just absolutely phenomenal. So please go support them. They are very SCV friendly, and I mean, not only is it UDC,
I was about to say the museum itself is ran by the UDC,
which is phenomenal because they are our sisters in arms. I had to make sure I said that right because you know me. But I mean, it's very rare that there's any museum that's SCV friendly, and I'm not shocked with it being UDC run. But it was still just like a breath of fresh air.
Yeah.
They were so nice to all the members there. Again, they let us stay a bit late and film. And we can't say anything better other than please go support them.
Go support them. For our patrons, we will be trying to, next week, instead of doing our normal live stream, we'll try to work on our schedules and do a live stream on our Patreon. So that way, and that'll be our unofficial recap of reunion on that. We've still got to figure it out, and it may just be a recorded episode that we put out for y'all, where we show up the pictures from the couple of days that we've had. We've done one photo dump on there. We'll do another photo dump. So all right, so
day one is basically, we can sum it up in one word: reports.
Yeah, and that is a good thing to say.
It's a great thing to say because day two
has been interesting. We'll get into that. But one thing I do want to say that is very, very good news on behalf of the SCV. I'll hold on. We were just getting somewhat permission before having to ask for forgiveness, like we normally do. But
it's Jason Bosch. Actually, it's past Commander-in-Chief Larry McClooney's fault if we get in trouble.
No. We wanted to make sure, and if you're a lip reader, you probably caught that. But we do want to say, as everybody knows, we've been talking about the museum and how we need to raise the funds for the museum and everything like that. Yesterday and today, we are officially under $1 million left on the museum to be paid off,
and that's phenomenal.
That is a huge and we've still got tomorrow. For people to donate. So if your camp is coming up here tomorrow, or your division, you're representing the division, make sure you bring your checks, so that we can, the lower the better. We had several people pledge or join the 21st Confederate Heroes program. You should have seen that in your veteran. What is the opossum? All right, so the possum thing is Hank, the official mascot of the.
The unofficial mascot
Yeah.
is General McMoose.
Well, that's the unofficial mascot of Chat, but the official, the official mascot of the oratory competition, which we just wrapped up, is Hank the Possum. There was a real possum named Hank who has passed away, but that is he was brought to a ton of natural reunions.
Natural
Yeah.
reunion.
National
reunions.
national reunions.
It's been a day.
It really has national reunions, and he's, like I said, he's the mascot for the oratory. So the oratory committee created these shirts. That was a fundraiser for the museum. They raised $750 on the t-shirts, as well as auctioned 2 of them off this evening and raised an additional $130. And tonight we held our first moose hunt.
So I will say here as an exclusive, we'll probably talk about this on our episode after. By the way, we'll be having an episode celebrating 4 years of SCV Chat, and then an episode really kind of recapping Reunion. Love you, GG. And I guess on that celebrating or recapping Reunion, that first one we'll come back and do. We'll talk about this, but
Hasta luego.
Originally it was going to be a one-time deal, and that's all I would agree to. But we raised $200 tonight for the museum.
So everybody who participated in the moose hunt, everybody had a lot of fun. Harrison has a moose costume.
We might need to get a new one.
We're gonna have to get a new one
because I ripped it.
But he has a moose costume, and he was a very good sport. And we had he ran out. We had a Nerf gun that people shot him with. It was $5 a shot or $20 for 5, and eventually became give us a ton of money. You could do a mag dump on them. But it was Moose. You are a very good sport.
And I wanted to say 2 things. One, because we haven't really talked about it yet, but we kind of briefly just looked at each other and was like, we don't know how many we're going to do. This is not a tradition we're starting, just something we're kind of just checking out because we didn't promote it. We talked about it with the chat heads, but we didn't promote it for this museum, and we were able to raise $200, and we had a good time, and we were able to laugh at ourselves after a pretty serious day at Reunion with the amendments. And I think that's very important to not only be able to take ourselves seriously and the heavy responsibility we have, but to be able to have fun because I'll go ahead and say it. Private S.O. Dawes of Gremlin's Company of Cavalry, Mississippi. He gave his life around the age of my father to defend freedom. If I can't suck up a little self-pride and a bit of respect and just do something fun and goofy, because I mean, look, I have a bit of egg on my face. I look very bad in a onesie. I do. I look like a fat onion.
You don't have egg on your face. That means that you.
I was about to say I might get the analogy wrong because it's late.
Yeah.
You can give me an analogy real quick?
So what Harris is saying, if his ancestor was and same thing about mine, because I got shot about 5 or 6 times, and I got
mad towards you.
I was policing. Well, I didn't count those in there.
The Florida man hit me below the belt. I'll say it like that. And I shot Conrad.
I was trying to police brass. Picking up bullets so we could reuse them, Nerf bullets. But what Harrison's trying to say though, if our ancestors, your ancestors, all of our ancestors could go off for 4 years and face the adversities that they saw day in, day out, from losing their brothers, not only their biological brothers, but the brothers in arms, and coming back to a Southland that was completely wrecked and destroyed. And go through reconstruction and live an honorable life that we can be proud of, and that we, they paid our dues, they paid our entry into this organization. If they could do that, and we're willing to stand up and fight for them and do whatever it takes for them, if we say that we're to commit to vindication, if we're to defend the Confederate soldiers' good name, that we're willing to put ourselves on the line. That's what he's saying. If it may be a little bit of temporary embarrassment, but the overall, now we're $200 closer to that museum being paid off, and we appreciate everybody who came
Yes, thank
and
you.
donated. You made it a huge success, and we had fun. And kind of what you were going at is, with this reunion, we had some business that we had to do today, and we're not going to talk fully about the business. We are going to mention some stuff that we're not going to disclose everything that was
I'm
done.
not, but there's one joke I really want to make, but I don't think I should.
Yeah, no, because it's serious.
Yeah, it was very serious.
But
today.
even
tensions were high.
even though tensions were high, even though there's some stuff that's going to happen tomorrow, and we're doing the business of our organization. At the end of the day, when the commander-in-chief says that we are in recess or that we are adjourned tomorrow, and he hits that gavel down, when we leave out these doors, we're still a band of brothers, and we have to be a band of brothers. And the fact that we can laugh and joke and have fun at each other's expense, just like a real family does, just like everything like that. That's the whole point. That's why we do this, and we were happy to do it. So, so with that being said,
Texas is a bit close. I am scared more of our Mississippi division people will come out there. But then again, that means I might not win any elections for office going forward, and I kind of almost think that's a win at this point.
No, because next year's not an election year.
It is for the division.
Oh yeah, it is. But division reunion happens before Moose Hunt.
Piss.
But hey, it's no guarantee that it's going to be an annual thing.
We're going to probably do it like at least next year, more than likely, just to see again how much money we can raise for the museum.
Right. Well, and it may not be for the museum; it may be for the Forest Last Ride.
And I mean, for those who don't know, my ancestor, Private S.O. Dolls, my great grandfather, my grandfather, my father, and I all have a deep appreciation and connection for General Forrest. So I would love to embarrass myself for the General. Yeah. If he can go out and kick some serious Yankee tail, I can go put on a onesie that makes me look like a buffalo.
Oh, we may get a new onesie.
I hope we do get ones that fit, man.
Yeah. Well, when you got that, it was also 4 years ago, and
gosh, I was like 50, 60 pounds lighter.
So, but again, for everybody who donated and everybody who participated, we appreciate from the bottom of our hearts.
Yes, we will have one video of that, and we will never. The pictures will go away. The live stream will go, except for the one where I'm attacking Connor because I might have gotten a little ill at some points.
And that was at the very beginning, and you did graze something, and I'm going to leave it at that. I saw the light flash before my eyes.
I had no idea. I was just jumping at you.
I know.
I tackled Connor.
I know. Anyway, so we do appreciate that.
Thank you.
Key things to remember for tomorrow. Tomorrow being Saturday,
Election Day.
It is Election Day, but it is also the day that any constitutional amendments that were not passed on the floor go to a ballot, and there are several of them. If you are here in Charleston, please remember your credential forms. You're going to need those credential forms when we vote by ballot. That way, you know how many delegate votes you are allowed to cast. That's important for you to have. Second thing, voting is going to take place upstairs in, I believe it's room 12 or 13.
12 and 13.
Yeah. So there will be a sign out there that says SCV voting.
From 7 to 10:30?
I thought it was 8 to 10:30.
It could have been 8 to 10:30.
Yeah. But still, first thing in the morning till 10:30. Having worked the tellers committee before in the past, when it is 10:30, they're closing those doors and you will not be allowed to cast your votes. Now, that being said, Army meetings are tomorrow morning as well. Army meetings will be electing Army officers for the upcoming year. Please go to your Army meeting, and once you can get, and hopefully the Army meetings can roll through quickly and people can go vote. But still remember, there is voting at your Army meetings. So go to your Army meetings and cast your votes.
Real quick, I do want to say, because we did try to share it out to the best of our ability, and I'm going to mention it one more time. For some armies, it could be a lot longer watch, like the Army of Tennessee, where we have 4 people running, 2 for each respective office. I want to say this as I'm not running. No offense to GCB, but I wanted to point this out. Please go watch these interviews. These people dedicated the time to come on to let you know their position. They're I don't want to say that. That might be a bit controversial, but they came on to let you know what their plans are for the SCV. And we will not persuade you either way on here on SCV Chat. We want you to watch these episodes that we re-released earlier this week and make the best decision for your Army and for the SCV.
Yeah, and remember that these men, I'm gonna step out of the, these. I'm gonna say it like this: these men that are running for these positions, all of them have good intentions at heart. They want what's best for this organization. They may have differing points of views on how to get there. But at the end of the day, your Army councilmen, whether you're in the Army of Northern Virginia, Army of Tennessee, or Army of Trans-Mississippi, they represent you, the members. And at the end of the day, your Army commanders, again, no matter if they're ANV, AOT, or ATM, they represent your divisions. So they are your representatives on the GEC, and it is your obligation to cast your votes for the men that you think is the best. Just it's very important because you think about it, the national elected officers is the commander-in-chief and the lieutenant commander-in-chief. Those are two very important positions. No one's saying that they're not important positions. Those are two very, very, very important positions. That being said, it is just as important because you think about it, you in the Army meeting, you are electing two men there to represent you as well. And the way that the organization is structured is that the Army is the administrative arm of the national organization, just like the brigades are the administrative arms of the divisions. So anything that is supposed to come down from the national organization has to come through the Army. So, think on it, pray on it, rewatch those videos. You have until 8 o'clock in the morning if you have not made up your mind.
It would be a good time to start now. After this episode.
Watch the ones for your Army. So that's that being said.
As of now, there's only one person running for national office, like lieutenant and commander.
Right. That's not saying that there won't be nominations from the floor. There very well could be. But
it's a bit easier on that one, I would say.
But still, there's a lot of unfinished business for the Confederation tomorrow that we have to get through. So get her early. The Army meetings will be from 8 to 9:30, and then at 9:30 we're kicking off here in the main room for the business session. Tomorrow we've got some last minute reports that we've got to finish up with. Hopefully tomorrow we'll be giving our chat report and announcing some interesting stuff. We'll go ahead and mention one of the things, just because we want to put it out there. This year, from our updated numbers, on all of our social media platforms, that is TikTok, Instagram, our podcast, YouTube, and Facebook. Even though we just launched the podcast a couple months ago, we have reached 1,184,626 people. And that is from July 23rd, 2023 to July 18th, 2024. And that's not including the roughly 2,000 that have gone to our website.
Yeah, and I do want to point out, not to knock what we've done, because we would have beaten our record this year anyway.
Right.
For what we got last year. But I will want to say these last 6 months, we've got around 1 million people just on the chat alone. So these past 6 months have been great. But that's only like half of our physical year. Right. We were on track to beat it like normal, but oh my gosh, did we blow it out of the water.
And it would not be done without you guys sharing our stuff. To put that in perspective, our growth of reach for the past 4 years, 2021, we reached 140,000. 2022, we reached 215,000. In 2023, in total, we reached 400,000. So we've blown our, if you add all of that up, our past 3 years combined. We've surpassed that. So again, thank you. And
there's something very special I want to say and ask for our chat heads, not only to share this episode out, but we will be making a post tomorrow after our report, celebrating the 1 million mark, as it is
provided that the commander-in-chief needs us to do the report, because
provided, but if not, we'll just post it and announce it. But it's one of those big milestones, like the 100th episode we celebrated. we're asking all chat heads to please share that out, because not only does that continue to build our numbers and start off a new physical year for SCV Chat strong, but it's something to celebrate. We might do an episode to celebrate it. That might be part of our 4-year anniversary episode or our reunion episode. We haven't really talked about it yet. We've kind of been
we've been running and gunning. Harrison on, besides, him doing chat, he's also aide de camp to the commander in chief. We've been trying to, get some Patreon information, or not Patreon information, some Patreon goodies.
Mm-hmm.
We've been like yesterday, we went to bed at 1:30 a.m. or this morning, rather. We went to bed at 1:30 a.m. The day before, we went to bed at 2 a.m.
2 or 3. Honestly, it was closer to 3.
For you, for me,
yeah.
For me, 2 a.m.
I hate being an insomniac, because Connor was in bed, and I'm not knocking Connor, because me and him were both miserable the next day.
Yeah.
But it took me 40 minutes to go to sleep, and I just hear Connor, and he actually sounded so happy. I just hear, and I was like, just staring at the ceiling.
And Jason, we might, it's a possibility. But
would love to.
But that's maybe if we did our 4th year anniversary at Beauvoir, somebody can bring cupcakes. Just got to make sure we have enough cupcakes.
Cupcakes. Maybe just one, and give it to a certain someone.
No. But again, but again, as a way of saying thank you to everybody. But again, for the delegates that are here, again, we cannot stress this enough. Remember your delegate form. If you have not gone to credentials, go to credentials first thing in the morning. Get credentialed.
If you don't have one, if your camp commander or camp adjutant is present, I believe you only need one of them.
You only need one of them.
Okay, thank you. Go run and get them in the morning. Of course, will be if your camp didn't pick delegates, it would, I think, fall to the camp commander. But it's actually dependent on the camp.
Yeah, it's dependent on the camp. There's supposed to be a chairman for each delegation, but again, if you are just here and you do not, and you heard the debates today, get in contact with your camp commander, get them to email to you, find a printer, print it off. It is, we're here to have fun, but we're here to do the business of our organization. So there's that. Also, again, Army meetings, ballroom, or not ballroom C, but room C here, right beside where the main room is. So on the other side of this air wall that I'm pointing at, we're on the stage, so the other side, starting in sequential order. C1 is the ANV, C2 is the AOT, C3 is the ATM.
Yes.
So again, C1, Army of Northern Virginia, C2, Army of Tennessee, C3, Army of Trans-Mississippi. Those are your meeting locations, 8 o'clock to 9:30. I know that the Army of Northern Virginia has a contested election for Army Commander. But they do not have a contested election right now. It could be a nomination from the floor for Army Councilman. Army of Tennessee has a contested election in both the Army Commander and Army Councilman. Army of Trans-Mississippi has no contested elections right now. So, plan accordingly. If you guys are, in the AOT, I'm not saying that you need to, go vote on the ballots first, but you may want to plan on doing your Army meeting first, because the ATM may adjourn quicker than we did. Same thing about the A and B. So plan accordingly. And you have to have the delegate forms for all voting. At least in the AOT, you have to have the delegate forms for all voting. So make sure that you're bringing that. If you're just now tuning in, again, recap, we have paid the museum debt off to under $1 million, which is good. We've had several people join the 21st Century Confederate Heroes. which is another good project. We had a successful moose hunt. We have constitutional amendments that we did not vote on today that will be on a ballot tomorrow, as well as Army elections, national officer elections, other reports, and resolutions. So, as far as what we've done, besides, now that the business portion of it's over with, we have seen some sights, man. It has been cool. We told you about Fort Pulaski.
Yeah.
Did we talk about Fort Pulaski?
Yeah, we're talking about Fort Pulaski.
Yeah. And how we marched around it and sang "I'm a good old rebel." We did that on Tuesday.
Yeah.
Wednesday we drove up and we attended the pre-GEC meeting. So that was a lot of fun.
That was.
We then went to the Battery. The Battery is absolutely beautiful right now. There is some construction going along the seawall. That's why that fence was up. So the Battery goes right.
I was just there for the see Fort Sumter and see some filming locations.
Yeah. Well, it was kind of 2-pointed reason why we went. So Forrest and I are big North and South fans,
and I'm about to watch
and
it.
He's about.
The
to
only
watch
reason
it.
I haven't is I have to watch it in under 2 days.
Yeah. So we're.
Don't ask.
Y'all hold on one moment. We're gonna take a quick commercial break, and be right back.
Yeah.
If I can find a commercial.
Good Lord.
When my mother was in college, she danced with Confederate veterans. To me, it wasn't that far away. My father knew this. My mother knew this. Almost 50 years ago, I joined the Sons of Confederate Veterans. In those days, we weren't concerned about saving monuments or any of those things. That wasn't necessary. In fact, none of us had any remote idea that it would ever come up. We can't just sit there and react. We have to be proactive. Or, as Robert E. Lee said, the best way to disrupt your enemy's plans is to strike first. Everyone should do all in his power to collect and disseminate the truth, in the hope that it may find a place in history and descend to posterity. History is not the relation of campaigns and battles and generals or other individuals, but that which shows the principles for which the South contended and which justified her struggle for those principles. If you're looking for some place to be where you think you're going to accomplish something to save our history, go to the Sons of Confederate Veterans. I'm Thomas Lee Jesse. I'm a descendant of Private Daughtery Gilmer, a Confederate veteran.
We saw that the commercial was ending.
Yeah, and we were misbehaving.
Yeah. No, we were having a private conversation trying to plan for tomorrow. But we did so big North and South fans. We went along the Battery, which has several of the filming locations. So there was the Lamont House. We found it. The Hazard House. We found it. At least the exteriors of them. Looked at the Battery, and of course, the Battery is a very historic location. It was used during the war between the states, but it was also used in colonial era. It was originally a British fort that was built there. And it was used during the siege of Charleston. Just a bunch of old cannons and stuff. Very cool. They have the monument to the Confederate Defenders of Charleston, which is on our medal.
Beautiful.
So that was good to see, and we could actually look out and see Fort Sumter and wave at Fort Sumter.
Yeah, well, what dag nabbit.
We waved at it.
We did. There's one monument I do want to talk about. I was going to go lean against the chair next to me, and I realized there was no chair next to me. And I almost went to grab it, and I was like, "Oh, we're live." Yeah. One monument I did want to talk about because of my just interest in it recently is the Confederate Navy Monument, which you not remember that?
Oh, yeah.
The one with like the little
fountains.
the fountains. And we'll show pictures one day.
Yeah. in our recap, we'll show pictures. But yeah, there
It
was
was
a
absolutely beautiful, and it kind of sparked my interest because, with my father being a veteran and him serving specifically in the Navy, I grew up with a lot of Navy pride, and it has not really bled over, shockingly, to my study of the war between the states until just it popping up in my head and me thinking about it.
Well,
Recently.
the Confederate Navy is a very interesting thing for anybody to study, and it'd be a good for us to do an episode on. We kind of halfway did one. We talked about the CSS Alabama a little bit, but there was not only the deep water Navy, but there was what was called the brown water Navy, the different ironclads and stuff like that. But yeah, you are right. Savannah has a lot of Confederate Navy history. We saw that
absolutely outstanding too. I mean, it was a very beautiful and well done monument.
But the defenders of the Confederacy. But what I loved about it is they had a monument to the 2nd Regiment of South Carolina Infantry from the Revolutionary War, and one of my Revolutionary War ancestors served in that unit. So I was like, wow, cool. Because like I said, I didn't know he existed until about 3 or 4 years ago.
The funny thing is like the Dawes family is from North Carolina. That's where we landed when we first came over to the colonies. But Dad found out recently we actually had some people from South Carolina. Now, I will admit I have not studied them myself yet. Dad gets very excited when he discovers family tree facts.
We all do.
Well, he always does, but he blows through them. Like he's telling me 4 or 5 family histories, 60 years in the span of 2 minutes. But I did catch recently, I'm going to have to make him stop and tell me. We had some family here in North Carolina for the Revolutionary War.
Especially in South Carolina.
Yeah. South, we had them very much in the North, but we did also have a couple in the South recently. And so seeing that monument, even though I don't know if it is to my ancestor, but just it made me think about it and made me focus on the men that monument is to.
Right.
The sacrifice, the pain, the suffering, the what they went through.
And it kind of goes through what we talked about the first half of last season, the forefathers of our heroes. Or
the heroes of our heroes. Yeah.
The fact that one of the not nomenclatures, but another names for the war between the states is the Second War for Independence. And that's exactly
Adam was asking how the episode is going.
But it was War for Independence, and seeing that and so much modern history is through the eyes of what happened in New England and Valley Forge. And of course it was important, but it was the Southern campaign that broke the British back. Everything was a stalemate up north, but it was the South, Kings Mountain, Cowpens, the various other skirmishes and stuff like that led to Yorktown, led to the surrender, and eventually the end of the war, signing of the Treaty of Paris 2 years later, is what won us our independence. So seeing that instilled some real Southern pride, because Southern history is more than 1861 to 1865. It's 1607 all the way to today. So saw that. We went to Magnolia Cemetery and saw the Confederate section there, and we saw a VA style marker that we've never seen before.
It was
not only
unique, and I loved it. Honestly.
Yeah, there was one that said, or several of them that said Confederate.
Yeah, because I'm OCD about it.
Yeah, that said Confederate Navy, unknown. That's interesting in the fact that it's Confederate Navy. But then there was some more away from them that said, but in the same section, Confederate Navy unknown sailor. The fact that it would notify or dignified, not really dignified, but denoted. That's the word I'm looking for, that they were a sailor. So that was pretty cool. We went to the Hunley area where the 3 crews rest in peace now.
Always gets me emotional.
Yeah.
And I wasn't there for the original burial of these men. I'm talking about the 3rd crew, of course. Or I wasn't there for the 2nd and 1st either. But
the second crew was buried in the 1860s. No one was there. That's still alive to this day. The first crew was actually buried under what is now the Citadel's football field, and Randy Burbage.
You were actually the one telling me about that, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, because I didn't know.
Randy Burbage from the South Carolina Division actually led the charge in finding them and reburying them in Magnolia Cemetery. And of course, we all know the story of the Hunley in 2004. And
Hunley I can't remember what year we came to South Carolina, but when I went to go see the Hunley exhibit, and luckily there was an SCV man there that day. I don't know the brother's name, but he was a life member. And he told me the story, and I just remember looking at Dad and being like, could you imagine hearing, hey, by the way,
Yeah.
2 crews before y'all dead.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they already knew it.
Good luck.
Yeah. Well, and it wasn't the total crew, the first
No.
crew. I mean, if 3 of them got out, I'm like, I'm not getting back in that.
Can't blame them.
Yeah.
The
But still, the
bravery
bravery
of
and the sacrifice, that those men did, and that's why it's such a resonating story. Not only to the Confederacy or us of Confederate descent, but to the world. There is a German cemetery right nearby that has a beautiful monument to the German Confederates. And, when you think about South Carolina, at least, for me, I'm thinking of the French Huguenots. I'm thinking about the Scotch Irish. I'm thinking about, the various other, groups that came over. I don't think about the Germans. And the fact that there was a monument to like the German companies and the German artillery units that were there, and it's Confederate diversity. So that was pretty cool. And again, we went to the Confederate Museum at Market Hall today. And I think that's been about all of our stops. I'm looking back in the background to see if I'm missing anything.
I don't think so. I do want to say one thing more on that last one. The hall, I've been there before, but there were so many things I hadn't seen before. They do a great job over there rotating it, and it was just very special and moving because I got to see 2 of my. I have great role models, but I also pick a lot of role models from history. And to see Jefferson Davis and Robert E. Lee's hair in there got me. I'm not gonna lie, I got a bit emotional.
And the flags and they do have a special. You talk about that. They do have a special exhibit out on UCV items like the first pamphlet or first reunion
Chills.
Book reports or booklet with John Brown Gordon's picture on there. Very cool. But it is 10:45 local time. And we have to be up at 8. And if you're a delegate, you have to be up here at 8 as well for voting and Army meetings.
Early.
Yeah, especially for parking. So see that. Tomorrow we will have for sure one episode where we will announce the election results.
We'll shoot for 2, hopefully.
We are going to have 2.
Yeah, we'll have 2. We just don't know what that second one will kind of be. We kind of let our guts tell us on that one.
Yeah, it's all on timing. Things happen at the National Reunion that are that we try to plan for. We try our best, but sometimes things happen and you get home and it's 11 o'clock and nobody's going to watch at 11 o'clock. But we forget that we're an hour ahead of the Central Time Zone. So
that we normally try to go with.
Yeah. So, but again, we appreciate everybody who has watched. Final reminder: delegate forms, bring them tomorrow. If you haven't been to credentials, go to credentials. You cannot vote unless you are credentialed. Army meetings tomorrow start at 8 a.m. should end by 9:30. Business session, general business session number 3, 9:30 in here. Army meetings: C1, Army Northern Virginia; C2, Army of Tennessee; C3, Army of Trans-Mississippi. They're down here outside the vendor's room. It's where they had the award luncheon today. Voting for the constitutional amendments that are on a ballot shall be upstairs in the rooms 12 and 13. Voting should end at 10:30. We have a very limited window of opportunity to vote because the numbers have to be tabulated. So get here, vote early, plan accordingly. So
pickles.
What?
Pickles. I don't like pickles.
Why?